The restaurant sparkled like a jewel floating in the darkness of space. The Celestial Lotus sat on the top floor of Avon Prime Station, where the richest and most powerful beings in the galaxy came to eat. Through the massive windows, stars glittered like scattered diamonds. HFY carried a tray of drinks across the polished floor. Her black uniform was simple and clean. Her dark hair was pulled back in a neat bun. She moved quietly between tables, refilling glasses and taking orders. Most customers barely looked at her. To them, she was just another human waitress. Nobody special. She preferred it that way. "Table 7 needs water," said Yeon Soo, the floor manager. She was a kind woman who always treated the staff fairly. "Are you okay handling the VIP section tonight?" HFY nodded. "Yes, of course." Her hands trembled slightly as she picked up the water pitcher. She hid them quickly, gripping the handle tighter. The scars on her palms were old and white, but she still wore long sleeves to cover the ones on her arms. Some questions were better left unasked. The kitchen doors swung open. Bomi, the head cook, poked her head out. "HFY, big group coming in, Valkyrie nobles, the stuck-up kind." HFY's expression didn't change, but something flickered in her eyes. "I'll prepare their section." Bomi frowned. "You sure? I heard they're difficult." "I can handle it." HFY's voice was calm and steady. She had handled much worse. 20 minutes later, the Valkyrie delegation arrived. They were tall and thin, with chitinous armor plating covering their bodies. Their faces were insectoid, with multiple eyes that glowed faintly purple. They wore expensive robes made from shimmer silk that changed colors as they moved. The leader was Prince Thexvor. He entered like he owned the station. His antennae twitched with arrogance. Behind him walked 6 other nobles, all carrying themselves like they were better than everyone else. HFY approached their table with menus. "Welcome to the Celestial Lotus. My name is HFY. I'll be serving you tonight." Thexvor looked at her the way someone might look at dirt on their shoe. "A human. How primitive." His voice had a clicking, harsh quality. "Do you even understand our language, creature?" "Yes, sir. I speak 37 languages." HFY kept her tone polite and professional. The nobles laughed. One of them, a female with bright green eyes, sneered. "It speaks? How amusing!" HFY felt the familiar tightness in her chest, the feeling of wanting to say something, do something, defend herself. But she pushed it down. She had learned control. She had learned to be small and invisible. "What would you like to drink?" she asked. Thexvor waved a dismissive claw. "Bring us Antarian wine, the expensive one, and try not to break anything with your clumsy human hands." HFY bowed slightly and walked to the bar. She could feel their eyes on her back, hear their mocking laughter. Across the restaurant, Tae-hyun, the station security officer, watched from his usual corner table. He always ate dinner here on his break. His jaw was clenched tight. When HFY returned with the wine, she poured it carefully into each crystal glass. The purple liquid swirled and glowed softly. "Finally," Thexvor said. "Took you long enough." "My apologies, sir." As she poured the last glass, Thexvor suddenly moved his arm. The glass tipped over, spilling wine across the white tablecloth. The liquid splashed onto his expensive robes. "You fool!" he shouted, standing up so fast his chair fell backward. "Look what you've done!" HFY knew she hadn't touched the glass. She had seen him knock it over deliberately, but she said nothing. "I'm very sorry, sir. Let me clean this immediately." "Sorry?" Thexvor's voice rose. Every person in the restaurant was watching now. "You ruin my clothes and you think sorry is enough? Do you know how much this robe costs? More than your worthless life?" He grabbed his full wine glass and threw the contents at her. The wine splashed across her face and uniform. It stung her eyes. She stood very still, not wiping it away. "Kneel!" Thexvor commanded. "Apologize properly, on your knees." The restaurant was silent. Even the soft music had stopped. Yansu started forward, but two of the Velkari guards blocked her path. Heywan slowly knelt down. The wine dripped from her hair onto the floor. "I apologize for my clumsiness, Prince Thexvor. Please forgive me." Inside her mind, memories tried to surface. Explosions, screaming, blood. She pushed them away. "Pathetic," Thexvor said. "This is why humans will never be more than servants. You have no pride, no honor. You're barely better than animals." His companions laughed and agreed. They made her stay on her knees while she cleaned the spilled wine with a cloth. Other customers looked away, uncomfortable but unwilling to interfere. Velkari nobles had diplomatic immunity. Nobody could touch them. When the table was clean, Thexvor finally waved her away like dismissing an insect. "Get out of my sight, and send someone competent to serve us." Heywan stood slowly. She bowed again and walked toward the kitchen. Her steps were measured and calm. Only her hands shook. Taehyun caught her arm gently as she passed. "Are you all right?" "I'm fine," she said. Her voice didn't match her words. In the kitchen, Bomi immediately wrapped her in a hug. "Those monsters! How dare they? We should report them." "Diplomatic immunity," Yansu said bitterly, coming through the door. "The station commander's hands are tied. I'm so sorry, Heywan. You don't have to go back out there." "It's okay." Heywan wiped her face with a towel. "I've had worse." The way she said it made both women look at her strangely. There was something in her tone, something hard and distant. For a moment, she didn't look like a waitress at all. But then Heywan smiled softly. "Really, I'm fine. Let Sungmin take over their table. I'll handle the other sections." As she changed into a clean uniform, Heywan caught her reflection in the small mirror. Wine still stained her hair. Her eyes looked tired. She had come to this station to disappear, to be nobody, to escape her past. But the past had a way of finding you, even in the darkness between stars. She took a deep breath, straightened her uniform, and went back to work. There were other customers to serve, other tables to clean. It was simple work, honest work. It was all she wanted now. Outside the kitchen window, the stars continued to shine, indifferent, eternal, beautiful. Heywan carried her tray and tried not to remember when she had carried very different things. The Velkari nobles came back the next night, and the night after that, and the night after that. Each time they asked for Heywan specifically. "I don't understand," Yansu said, reviewing the reservation list. "They complained about you, but they keep requesting your section." Heywan understood perfectly. Thexvor had found a new toy to break. Some people enjoyed power. Others enjoyed cruelty. Thexvor enjoyed both. On the fourth night, he complained that his soup was too cold. Heywan brought him a fresh bowl. He said it was too hot. She brought another. He claimed he found hair in it. There was no hair. The kitchen cameras proved it. But diplomatic immunity meant nothing could be done. "Why do you let them treat you like this?" Taehyun asked. He had started timing his breaks to watch over her, though he pretended it was coincidence. Heywan set down her tray. They were in the back hallway, away from customers. "Because causing a diplomatic incident would hurt innocent people. The station needs the Velkari trade agreement. Hundreds of families depend on it." "That doesn't make it right." "No," she agreed quietly. "But right and possible are different things." Taehyun studied her face. She had a strange way of talking sometimes, like a soldier, like someone who had made hard choices before. "I tried to look up your background file. It's sealed. High-level government encryption." Heywan's expression didn't change. "I used to work in government data management." "Boring stuff. The encryption is just standard protocol." It was a smooth lie. Too smooth. Taehyun was more curious than ever, but he didn't push. Everyone had secrets. That night, Bomi noticed something odd. "You move weird," she said, watching Heywan navigate the crowded kitchen. "Weird how?" "I don't know. Efficient? Like you know exactly where everyone will be before they move. My brother was in the military. He moved like that." Bomi tilted her head. "Were you a soldier?" "No," Haiwan said. Another lie. "I just worked in restaurants a long time." But that night, the nightmares came back. They always did when stress piled up. Heywan woke in her small quarters, gasping. The dream fragments were always the same: fire, screaming, her squad's voices calling for help. The impossible choice she had made. She sat on the edge of her bed, hands shaking. Through the window, the station lights blinked peacefully. No explosions, no war. Just a quiet station where she served food and tried to forget. On the 7th night, everything got worse. Thexvor arrived with a plan. Heywan could see it in the way he smiled, the way his companions kept glancing at her and whispering. Something bad was coming. She served their appetizers without incident. Then the main course. Thexvor ate his entire meal, laughing and talking with his friends. Heywan began to relax. Maybe tonight would be different. Then Thexvor clutched his throat. "Poison," he gasped, loud enough for the entire restaurant to hear. "The human poisoned my food!" He fell to the floor, twitching dramatically. His companions shouted for help. Customers stood up in alarm. Yansu ran over, face pale with shock. "I didn't," Heywan started. "She tried to kill me." Thexvor pointed at her with a shaking claw. "I demand she be arrested, executed." Tae-hyun appeared within seconds, other security officers behind him. "Everyone stay calm. Prince Thexvor, what happened?" "This creature poisoned me. I can barely breathe." Thexvor's acting was terrible, but his diplomatic status made it effective. "The food came straight from the kitchen," Heywan said. Her voice was steady, but her hands were clasped behind her back to hide their shaking. "Multiple people handled it. The kitchen has cameras." "She could have added something when she served it," one of the Velkari nobles accused. Tae-hyun looked at Heywan. She met his eyes calmly. "I'm happy to submit to any investigation. Check the kitchen. Test the food, scan me for toxins, whatever you need." "That won't be necessary," said a new voice. Everyone turned. A large reptilian figure stepped forward from the crowd. He wore a military uniform covered in medals. His scales were deep blue, and his eyes were the gold color that marked high intelligence in his species. "Admiral Crix," Tae-hyun said, surprised. "I didn't know you were on the station." "Just passing through." The Admiral's eyes were locked on Heywan. His expression was shocked, almost disbelieving. "I can verify that the human has been in plain sight the entire meal. I was watching. She added nothing to the food." "You would take a human's side over mine?" Thexvor demanded, standing up. His mysterious illness had vanished quickly. "I take the side of truth," Crix said coldly. "You're clearly not poisoned." "This is theater." Thexvor's face darkened with rage. "How dare you? I am a prince of the Velkari Empire. And I am an admiral of the Galactic Defense Fleet. Your diplomatic immunity doesn't extend to false accusations of attempted murder." Crix's voice was hard as stone. The tension in the room was thick. Finally, Thexvor sneered. "Fine. Perhaps I was mistaken. The food must have simply disagreed with me." He looked at Heywan with pure hatred. "But I'm watching you, human. One mistake, and you're finished." He stormed out with his companions. The restaurant slowly returned to normal. Customers went back to eating, though whispered conversations continued. Heywan stood very still. Admiral Crix was still staring at her. "Thank you for your support, Admiral," she said quietly, bowing. "Commander Yi." His voice was barely a whisper. "Is it really you?" Heywan's eyes widened slightly. Then her face became a mask. "I'm sorry, Admiral. You've confused me with someone else. My name is Haywan, just Haywan. Your face. Has been serving tables for 2 years, that's all. She bowed again. Please excuse me, I have other customers. She walked away quickly. Crix watched her go, his expression troubled. Tae-hyun approached him. Admiral, do you know her? Crix was silent for a long moment. Once I thought I did, but that person is dead. He shook his head. I must be mistaken. But he didn't sound convinced. Later, in the kitchen, Bomi grabbed Haywan's arm. Who are you really? What do you mean? An admiral recognized you, a Galactic Defense Fleet admiral. And you're just a waitress? Bomi's voice wasn't accusing. It was concerned. Haywan, what are you running from? Haywan pulled her arm free gently. Nothing. I'm running from nothing. Then what are you running toward? That question hit harder. Haywan had no answer. That night, she lay in bed, unable to sleep. Crix being here was dangerous. If he told people who she really was, everything would fall apart. The quiet life she had built would shatter. She had saved 40,000 people once, and lost 200 who trusted her. The galaxy called her a hero. She called herself a survivor with blood on her hands. The scars on her palms ached. Phantom pain from old wounds. She pressed her hands together and tried to breathe. Tomorrow, Thexfor would come back. He always did. And each day, he pushed harder, trying to break her. But Haywan had been broken before. She had put herself back together in the darkness between stars. She could endure this. She had to. Outside her window, a transport ship drifted past, its lights blinking peacefully. Inside, she knew, were families, workers, people living ordinary lives. That's all she wanted. To be ordinary. To be nobody special. The universe, it seemed, had other plans. Admiral Crix stood in the office of Station Commander Jisoo, his clawed hands gripping a data tablet. The commander was a sharp woman in her 50s, with gray streaking her black hair. She looked at the information on the screen, and her face went pale. This can't be right, she whispered. I assure you it is. Crix's voice was heavy. I served with her during the Proxima campaign. I watched her save my entire battle group. That waitress is Commander Haywan Yi. Jisoo sat down slowly. On the screen was a military record marked with the highest security clearance. A photograph showed a younger woman in a fleet commander uniform, her chest covered in medals. The face was the same, but the eyes were different. Harder, colder. The Proxima Siege, Jisoo read aloud. 8 years ago, Separatist forces deployed a planet-killer weapon. 40,000 civilians trapped on the colony. Commander Yi led a volunteer battalion of 200 soldiers on a suicide mission to destroy the weapon core. She looked up. I remember this. The entire galaxy mourned the soldiers who died. 197 died, Crix said quietly. Commander Yi survived, along with 2 others. She completed the mission. The civilians were saved. The weapon was destroyed. It says here she received the Star of Valor, the Galaxy Cross, the Humanitarian Medal. She met with the High Council. Jisoo scrolled through pages of commendations. Then nothing. She vanished from public life. PTSD, Crix explained. Survivor's guilt. She blamed herself for every soldier who died. At the award ceremony, she broke down, said she didn't deserve honor while her people were dead. She refused all medals, all recognition. The government gave them to her anyway, but she never claimed them. And she ended up here, serving food. Hiding, Crix corrected. From fame, from memory, from herself. Jisoo closed the file. Why are you telling me this? Because of the Velkari prince. Crix's eyes glowed with anger. He's been tormenting one of the greatest heroes the galaxy has ever known. And he doesn't even realize it. If this gets out, the diplomatic consequences will be severe. If we reveal her identity to protect her, we destroy the peace she's found. Jisoo said thoughtfully. But if we don't, Thexvor will continue his cruelty. They sat in heavy silence. Meanwhile, Tae-hyun was doing his own investigation. He had called in a favor from a friend in military records. What he learned made his hands shake. He found Haewon in the restaurant storage room, counting inventory. "Your instructor at the academy was Commander Park Hyun-woo," he said without preamble. Haewon didn't look up from her datapad. "That's a common name." He talked about his commanding officer all the time, called her the best soldier he ever knew, said she once held a position for 18 hours straight against impossible odds. Said she never left anyone behind. Tae-hyun's voice cracked. "He died at Proxima, in the battle you led." Haewon's hand froze over the datapad. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Stop lying!" Tae-hyun grabbed her shoulder, spinning her around. "You're her. You're Commander Yi. Hyun-woo was my mentor. He saved my life, and he died following you." Haewon's mask cracked. Pain flashed across her face. "Then he died because I failed him. He died a hero. They all did. They died because I gave the order." Her voice rose for the first time. "I chose to send them in. I calculated the odds and decided 200 lives were worth 40,000. That's not heroism. That's math. Cold, brutal math. You saved those people, and I killed my soldiers." Tears streamed down her face. "Do you know what it's like? Every night I see their faces, I hear their voices on the comm. 'Commander, we're pinned down.' 'Commander, the reactor's failing.' 'Commander, tell my family I love them.' I hear them dying, and I'm the one who sent them there." She sank to the floor, her back against the shelves. Tae-hyun sat beside her. "Hyun-woo never blamed you," he said softly. "In his last message to me, he said following you was the greatest honor of his life. He said if he had to die, at least it was for something that mattered." Haewon wiped her eyes. "That doesn't make it hurt less." "No, but hiding here, letting people like Thexvor humiliate you, pretending to be someone else, that doesn't honor their sacrifice either. I'm not pretending. This is who I am now. Just Haewon, a waitress, someone ordinary." "You'll never be ordinary," Tae-hyun said. "And that's okay." That evening, Bomi cornered Haewon in the changing room. "Tell me the truth. All of it." Haewon looked at her friend's determined face and felt something break inside. She was tired of lying, tired of hiding. "I was a soldier," she admitted, "a commander. I led people into battle, and I lost most of them." Bomi sat down, listening. "There was a weapon," Haewon continued. "It could destroy an entire planet. 40,000 people were going to die. I had a battalion of 200 volunteers. We knew it was suicide. We went anyway." "The Proxima siege," Bomi breathed. "Oh my God, you're that Commander Yi, the one from the news feeds. The hero." "I'm not a hero. Heroes save everyone. I save most and sacrifice the rest. You saved 40,000 people. And I killed 200. Haewon's voice was flat. "After the battle, they wanted parades, medals, interviews. They wanted me to smile and accept awards while families buried their children. I couldn't do it, so I ran. To here, where I could just serve food and be useful without anyone dying. Where I could do simple good work and not think about explosions and screaming and blood." She looked at her scarred hands. "I thought if I helped people in small ways, maybe it would balance out. Maybe I could forgive myself." Bomi took Haewon's hands. "You're forgiven. By everyone except yourself. That's the one that matters." They sat together in silence. Outside, the restaurant prepared for the evening service. Soon, Haewon would put on her uniform and serve customers. She would be polite and efficient. She would be nobody special. But across the station, word was spreading. Tae-hyun had told one person. That person told another. Military veterans recognized the name. They started coming to the restaurant just to see if it was true. They didn't approach her. They just watched. Some saluted quietly when she wasn't looking. Admiral Crix met with the Velkari ambassador privately. "There's something you should know about the waitress your prince has been tormenting." The ambassador listened. His face went through several colors. "This could destroy our diplomatic relations," he said. "If it becomes public that Prince Thexavor humiliated a galactic hero, then I suggest you control your prince," Crix said coldly. But Thexavor was beyond control. He had become obsessed with breaking HFY's spirit. He saw her calm acceptance as defiance, her quiet dignity as mockery. He wanted to see her cry, beg, break. He didn't know he had already seen her broken. He didn't know she had put herself back together from pieces much smaller than he could create. 3 days later, Thexavor announced a grand banquet. All the station's important people would attend. Ambassadors, military officers, traders, politicians, and he specifically requested that HFY serve his table. "It's a trap," Taehyun warned. "He's planning something." "I know," HFY said calmly. "I'll be ready. Let me tell everyone who you are. He wouldn't dare—" "No," her voice was firm. "I don't want protection because of my past. I want to live without it defining me." "Then at least let me assign extra security." She smiled sadly. "Do what you need to. But Taehyun, I've faced worse than a spoiled prince. I'll be fine." She didn't feel fine, but she had learned long ago that feeling scared and being brave weren't opposites. They often happened together. The night of the banquet approached. HFY pressed her uniform, checked her appearance, took deep breaths. Whatever Thexavor planned, she would face it the same way she faced everything now, with quiet dignity, with controlled calm. She would not fight back. She would not defend herself. She would simply endure. It was all she had left. The celestial lotus had never looked more beautiful. Crystal chandeliers cast rainbow light across the tables. Flowers from a dozen worlds filled the air with exotic scents. Ambassadors from 50 species wore their finest clothes and jewelry. It was meant to celebrate a new trade agreement, but everyone could feel the tension underneath. HFY stood in the kitchen, adjusting her uniform one last time. Her hands were steady. She had learned long ago to control her fear, to push it down into a small box inside her chest and lock it away. "You don't have to do this," Bomi said. "Yeonsu can assign someone else." "It's fine." HFY's smile didn't reach her eyes. "It's just one more night." Outside in the main room, guests were taking their seats. Taehyun stood by the door in full security uniform, his hand resting near his weapon. Other officers were stationed around the room, more than usual. Commander Jisoo sat at a table near the back, watching everything carefully. Admiral Crix was there too, at a table with other high-ranking military officers. His golden eyes tracked HFY as she emerged from the kitchen with a tray of appetizers. Prince Thexavor sat at the center table, surrounded by his companions. He looked like a spider waiting in its web. When he saw HFY, his mandibles curved into something like a smile. "Ah, the human! How perfect!" He gestured to the empty space beside his table. "You'll be serving us personally tonight. Don't wander off. We'll need constant attention." "Of course, Prince Thexavor." HFY bowed. The banquet began. HFY moved between the kitchen and Thexavor's table, bringing food, pouring drinks, clearing plates. The prince was on his best behavior at first. He needed the other guests to witness what he had planned. The main course arrived, expensive dishes from across the galaxy. HFY served them carefully, aware of Thexavor's eyes following her every move. "This looks acceptable," Thexavor announced loudly. "Though I'm surprised human hands can serve such fine food without ruining it." Some guests laughed politely. Others looked uncomfortable. HFY said nothing. She simply continued her work. As the meal progressed, Thexavor grew bolder. He complained that his water was too warm. that his food was positioned wrong on the plate, that HFY was standing too close, then too far. Each complaint was designed to humiliate. HFY responded to each with perfect politeness. "I apologize. I'll fix that immediately." Admiral Crix watched the exchange with growing anger. Several of the military officers at his table were whispering to each other, their expressions dark. Then came the moment HFY had been planning. HFY was serving dessert, carrying a tray stacked with delicate crystal dishes filled with an expensive mousse. As she approached the table, HFY stretched his leg out into the aisle. It was obvious, deliberate. Everyone saw it. HFY's foot caught on his leg. The tray tilted. The crystal dishes began to fall. But HFY didn't fall. In a movement too fast to fully follow, she twisted her body. Her free hand shot out, catching the tray before it could tip completely. She pivoted on one foot, using momentum to spin herself upright. The dishes settled back onto the tray with barely a clink. Not a single drop of mousse spilled. She landed perfectly balanced, the tray steady in her hands. The entire room went silent. That movement had been pure military training, the kind of reflexes that came from years of combat, the kind of body control that only elite soldiers possessed. Every military person in the room recognized it. They sat up straighter, stared harder. HFY's face darkened with rage. His carefully planned humiliation had failed. Worse, the human had made him look foolish. "How dare you!" He stood up, his chair scraping loudly. "You almost spilled food on me!" "I apologize, Prince HFY. Silence!" He grabbed her arm, his claws digging into her sleeve. "You clumsy, worthless creature! You're not fit to serve animals, let alone nobility." HFY set the tray down calmly. She didn't pull away from his grip. "Please release me." "Sir, I'll release you when I'm ready." HFY yanked her closer. His voice carried through the whole restaurant. "Do you know what you are? You're trash, human garbage. Your entire species is nothing but servants and slaves. You should be grateful we allow you to exist." Tae-hyun started forward. Jisoo held up a hand, stopping him. Her eyes were on Admiral Crix. The Admiral stood slowly. His considerable height made him tower over nearby tables. When he spoke, his voice was thunder. "Release Commander Y immediately!" The room froze. HFY's claws loosened on HFY's arm. "What did you say?" "I said release Commander Yi." Crix walked forward, his medals catching the light. "Or do you not know who you've been tormenting for the past 2 weeks?" "Commander?" HFY looked confused. "She's a waitress. She's a hero of the Galactic Defense Fleet." Crix's voice filled the room. "Commander HFY Yi, recipient of the Star of Valor, savior of the Proxima Colony, the woman who sacrificed her battalion to save 40,000 innocent lives." Murmurs spread through the crowd. Some people gasped. Others pulled out data pads, searching for information. "You're lying," HFY said, but his voice wavered. "Am I?" Crix gestured to the walls. Holographic displays activated, showing military records, images of a younger HFY in uniform, video footage of the Proxima siege, news reports calling her the greatest hero of her generation. The footage showed burning ships, soldiers fighting through impossible odds, a lone figure leading them forward. Then the final explosion, the weapon destroyed, and the civilian ships escaping to safety. The displays showed medals, commendations, letters from grateful families, 40,000 lives saved, 200 soldiers lost. "This can't be real," HFY whispered. Around the room, military officers were standing. One by one, they came to attention and saluted. First Admiral Crix, then a human general, then a Therian captain. A Velkari military advisor at a side table stood too, saluting despite his species. More stood, more saluted, until half the room was on their feet, hands raised in respect. HFY stood frozen, tears streaming down her face. She hadn't wanted this, hadn't wanted recognition or respect. She had just wanted to be left alone. Thexvor's face went through several colors. His antennae drooped. He looked at his own military advisor, who was still saluting, and understanding finally crashed over him. I didn't know," he stammered. "You didn't care to know," Admiral Crick said coldly. "You saw a human in a service position and decided she was beneath you. You never asked who she was. You never showed her basic dignity. You humiliated a galactic hero because it amused you." The Velkari ambassador stood, his face twisted with horror and anger. He approached Thexvor and spoke in their language, harsh and rapid. Thexvor tried to argue back, but the ambassador cut him off. "On behalf of the Velkari Empire," the ambassador said loudly in Galactic Common, "I offer deepest apologies to Commander Yi. Prince Thexvor has disgraced our people and our values. Effective immediately, I am stripping him of his royal titles and diplomatic status. He will face consequences for his actions." Thexvor looked like he had been struck. "Uncle, you can't—" "I can, and I will. You've embarrassed our entire empire." The ambassador bowed deeply to Haiwan. "Commander Yi, the Velkari people honor your service. We are ashamed of how you were treated." Haiwan found her voice, though it shook. I accept your apology." She looked around the room at all the people staring at her, all the respect in their eyes. It felt wrong, heavy, like a uniform that didn't fit anymore. "But I'm not Commander Yi anymore," she said softly. "I'm just Haiwan, a waitress. That's all I want to be." Admiral Crick stepped closer. "With respect, you'll always be Commander Yi. What I did cost 200 lives. Her voice grew stronger. "I don't deserve your salutes. I don't deserve your respect. I made impossible choices and people died because of me. I'm not a hero. I'm a survivor who couldn't save everyone." The room was utterly silent. "So please," Haiwan continued, wiping her tears, "let me be nobody. Let me serve food and do honest work. Let me help people in small ways that don't get anyone killed. That's all I'm asking for." She looked at Thexvor. He flinched. "I forgive you," she said simply. "You didn't know, and now you do. That's enough." She picked up her tray and walked back toward the kitchen. Every eye followed her. Bomi met her at the door, wrapping her in a hug. "You okay?" "No," Haiwan admitted, "but I will be." Outside, the banquet slowly resumed, but everything had changed. The morning after the banquet, Haiwan expected everything to change. She was right, but not in the way she feared. She arrived at work to find flowers, hundreds of them. They covered the restaurant's entrance. Cards attached to them read simple messages. "Thank you for your service. You saved my cousin at Proxima. Heroes never die." Yonsu stood among the flowers, crying. "They've been arriving since dawn, from all over the station, from ships passing through, even some from other systems." Haiwan picked up a card. It showed a picture of a young soldier. The message read, "My son was in your battalion. He died doing something meaningful. Thank you for leading him." Her hands trembled. She set the card down gently. Inside the restaurant, the staff gathered around her. They didn't salute or bow. They simply stood with her, offering quiet support. This was what Haiwan needed, not worship, just acceptance. "Do you want time off?" Yonsu asked. "After everything?" "No," Haiwan said firmly. "Work helps. Work is good." The restaurant opened for breakfast. Word had spread across the station. People came just to see her. Some were veterans who wanted to shake her hand. Others were families whose relatives she had saved. They filled every table. Haiwan served them all. She took orders, poured coffee, cleared plates. She did her job. Some customers tried to treat her differently, calling her commander or ma'am. She politely corrected them. "Just Haiwan, please." Admiral Crix came in for lunch. He sat at a quiet corner table and waited until Heywan came to take his order. "Coffee. Black," he said. Then softer. "And a conversation if you're willing." Heywan poured his coffee and sat down. Around them, other customers politely ignored them, though Tae-hyun kept watch from nearby. "The fleet wants you back," Crick said. "High Command sent a message. They're offering you any position you want. Admiral, instructor, tactical advisor, name it and it's yours." "No, thank you." "Heywan." "Admiral Crix, with respect, I gave the fleet everything I had. It took pieces of me I'll never get back. I can't do it again." She looked at her scarred hands. "Every time I close my eyes, I see their faces. All 200 of them. If I go back, I'll have to make those choices again. Send people to die. Calculate acceptable losses. I can't." Crix was quiet for a moment. "What you're feeling is normal. PTSD doesn't make you weak." "I know. I've been in therapy for 6 years. It helps. But it doesn't change what happened. It doesn't bring them back." She met his eyes. "I found peace here. Serving food isn't glamorous, but nobody dies. I help people in small ways. That's enough." "Is it?" Crix asked gently. "Or are you punishing yourself?" The question hit hard. Heywan had asked herself the same thing many times. "Maybe both," she admitted. "But it's my choice. That matters." Crix nodded slowly. "Then I'll respect it, but know that the offer stands. If you ever change your mind, you have a home in the fleet." "Thank you, Admiral. That means more than you know." He left a generous tip and departed. As he passed Tae-hyun, he paused. "Take care of her. She's family." Across the station, Thexvor was experiencing consequences. Stripped of his title and diplomatic immunity, he had been reassigned to labor duty. The Velkari Empire was furious with him. Humiliating a galactic hero had destroyed years of careful diplomacy. He now worked in the station's recycling center, processing waste materials. It was honest work, something he had never experienced before. The other workers treated him with the same indifference he had shown Heywan. He was nobody special here. Just another worker. After a week, curiosity drove him to the restaurant. He sat at a back table trying to be invisible. When Heywan approached to take his order, he flinched. I don't deserve your service," he said quietly. "Everyone deserves basic dignity," Heywan replied. "What would you like to eat?" "Why aren't you angry? Why don't you hate me?" Heywan set down her datapad. "Because hate is exhausting. I've spent years hating myself for my failures. There's no room left for hating others." She paused. "You did something terrible. You're facing consequences. You're learning. That's how people grow. I called you trash. Worthless. You were wrong. But you're not the first person to underestimate humans, and you won't be the last. We're used to it." She smiled slightly. "Besides, proving people wrong is something we're good at." Thexvor ordered soup. He ate slowly, thinking. When Heywan brought the bill, he left a generous tip. "I'm sorry," he said. "Truly. I don't expect forgiveness, but I am sorry." "I know," Heywan said. "And I already forgave you." He left looking thoughtful. Over the following weeks, he became a regular customer. He never caused problems. He always tipped well. He was learning humility the hard way. The restaurant slowly returned to normal, though normal had changed. More veterans came to eat. They didn't make a fuss, but they always asked for Heywan's section. They'd salute quietly when she wasn't looking, then order breakfast and read the news. Young military cadets on shore leave would visit, hoping to meet the legendary Commander Yi. Heywan would serve them with the same efficiency she showed everyone else. Sometimes, if they asked politely, she'd sit with them for a few minutes and share small pieces of wisdom. "Leadership isn't about being fearless," she told one nervous cadet. "It's about being scared and doing the right thing anyway." To another, she said, Take care of your people. Every single one matters. Their lives aren't numbers in a report. They're people with families and dreams." The cadets listened like she was speaking sacred truths. Heywan found it strange, but also meaningful. If her experience could help them be better officers, maybe that was worth something. Bomi noticed the change in her friend. "You seem lighter," she observed one evening as they cleaned up. "I feel lighter," Heywan admitted. "I spent so long hiding from my past. Now that it's out, it's easier somehow. I don't have to pretend anymore. No more secrets? Well, I still haven't told you about the time I accidentally blew up a supply depot because I mixed up the red wire and the blue wire." Bomi laughed. "Please tell me that's a joke." "Mostly." Heywan grinned. It felt good to smile, to joke about the past instead of just carrying it like a weight. 3 months after the banquet, Heywan received an unexpected visitor. Commander Jisoo came to the restaurant in civilian clothes, looking nervous. "There's a situation," she said quietly. "Deep space. A colony is under attack. Pirates. The fleet is responding, but—" She trailed off. "But what?" "But the fleet commander asked for you specifically. Said if Commander Yi was available, she could save lives." Heywan's heart raced. The old familiar fear rose up. "I can't. I'm not—" "He's not asking you to fight," Jisoo interrupted. "He's asking you to advise. Remote consultation. You'd stay here on the station, safe. Just help them strategize. Your tactical knowledge could save that colony." Heywan stood very still. In her mind, she saw 40,000 faces, the ones she had saved. Then she saw 200 others, the ones she had lost. "I can help without anyone dying?" she asked. "That's the idea. You'd be a voice on a comm channel. Nothing more." Heywan looked around the restaurant, at Bomi cleaning tables, at Tai Yun having his usual dinner, at customers laughing and eating. This was her life now, her peace. But people needed help. "Okay," she said. "I'll advise, but only advise. I'm not going back." "Understood." The consultation lasted 6 hours. Heywan sat in the station's command center, studying tactical displays, analyzing enemy positions. She suggested strategies, pointed out weaknesses, helped the fleet commander see options he had missed. When it was over, the colony was safe. 0 casualties on the defending side. The fleet commander's face appeared on screen. "Commander Yi, you just saved 3,000 people. Thank you." "I'm just Heywan," she corrected gently. "And you're welcome." She went back to the restaurant for the evening shift. Her hands didn't shake. The nightmares didn't come that night. Maybe, she thought, there was a balance. She could help people without destroying herself. She could use her experience without drowning in it. 6 months after the banquet, the restaurant held a small party for Heywan's birthday. Not because she was famous, just because she was their friend. Yeon-soo brought cake. Bomi cooked her favorite meal. Tae-hyun gave her a book on meditation techniques. Even some customers she had served regularly brought small gifts. Thexvor came too. He had finished his labor assignment and was working as a junior diplomat now, learning to actually help people. He brought flowers and a card that simply said, "Thank you for teaching me dignity." As Heywan looked around at the gathered people, she felt something she hadn't felt in 8 years. Peace. Not the empty peace of hiding, not the numb peace of running away. Real peace, the kind that comes from accepting yourself, scars and all. That night, she stood by the window in her quarters, looking out at the stars. Somewhere out there, 40,000 people were living their lives because of choices she had made. 200 others had died because of those same choices. Both things were true. Both would always be true. But here now, she was helping people one meal at a time, making small differences, living quietly, and that was okay. She had been a hero once. Now she was something better. She was herself. The stars glittered outside her window, indifferent and beautiful. A transport ship drifted past, its lights blinking peacefully. Inside were families, workers, people living ordinary lives. Heywan smiled. Ordinary was exactly what she wanted to be, and for the first time in 8 years, she believed she deserved it. The scars on her hands caught the starlight. Once they had been sources of shame, now they were just part of her story, not the whole story, just one chapter. She was writing new chapters now, quieter ones, simpler ones, but no less important. Tomorrow she would wake up and serve breakfast. She would pour coffee and take orders and clear tables. She would help people in small, unremarkable ways. And that would be enough. It would be more than enough. It would be everything.